Hi, everybody. Welcome to a Fraser Public Library live event. So today we actually have Christy Good, who is a local author and cosplayer, and she is going to be talking about getting into cosplay and what that is and what it entails and some simple tips and tricks that you can do to make your own cosplays. But first, this is brought to you by the Friends of the Fraser Public Library. They were very nice enough to actually help sponsor a lot of the programming that we have this summer. So that's wonderful. And now I am going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to turn it over to Christy.
Okay.
All right.
So okay. I will wait.
I got to make you host first. So.
Yep. All right. So greetings. It's going to be part of a PowerPoint presentation, so I've got some information to share with you. And then in between, we're going to switch to my lovely panel presentation that I have set up here in my humble abode. So first, as I dive down here, I'm going to share my screen. Helps if I make it the presentation. Screen 2.
There you go.
Slideshow. Okay, can you see the slideshow?
Yep, we're good.
Fantastic. So this is called Getting Into Cosplay, presented by Christy Good. Online, I am known by the name Karmada Cosplay. You might see a lot of these names around, like people saying, I'm XYZ Cosplay, or I'm Happy Cosplay. Those are kind of like little stage names that we'll give ourselves that we can use as like our online handle, so it's easier to find us. Mine just happens to be Karmada Cosplay. So I like to give a little quick introduction about myself so people kind of know, like, oh, well, who is this person? Why do they know what they're talking about? I have been doing cosplay since 2001, officially. If you don't count all the Halloween events I've been doing since a small child. I've won a whole bunch of craftsmanship and performance awards. I've been doing competition since around 2004. I've done a handful of international stuff lately over the past several years. I actually just won a large award. Oh, no worries.
Hold on. I lost you there for a second.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I think your headphones cut out.
Oh, did I talk too fast? I sometimes get very excited.
Nope, can't hear you.
You can't hear me? All right, hold on. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Oh, why is this happening now? Hello.
Okay, now we're good. Sorry, it was my headphones.
Oh, it was your headphones. Oh, fantastic. Cool. Technical difficulties. We'll roll with it. But anyway, I actually just did a large competition in December, which my friend and I performed in, and we actually got a really cool prize. So whenever all the conventions open back up again, we actually go get to participate in this big competition called GCOF in another country, actually, in South Korea. So that'll be fun. And then last but not least, which you all probably know me from, I got to write and illustrate a book called Epic Cosplay Costumes. If I could hit the button, there we go. A step-by-step guide to making and sewing your own costume designs, which is also located, from what I've been told, in your local library that you can check out.
There are 3 copies in our system, so there are plenty for people to check out, and you can always pick it up via curbside pickup. So we're more than happy to share the cosplay joy.
It is chock full of tutorials and how-tos, and it's all basically made with basic shapes, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. So let's get on to the meat of what I want to talk about. So what exactly is cosplay? So it's my stern picture. I'm trying to be very stoic in this picture. Because a lot of people are like, my kid wants to get into cosplay. What is this? I don't understand. Basically, you're wearing a costume that represents a character. They can be from TV, movies, comic books, novels, stage plays, your own design of characters, designs of other people. There's a lot of artists who might draw like a fancy version of like a Disney character. People's like, here's all the Disney characters if they lived in the 1920s. And so you might be Flapper Ariel, whatever you might want to do. Basically, you're becoming a character. So, why do people cosplay? There's a whole lot of reasons, but the first and foremost I like to push the most is you do it for fun. Mm-hmm. Whether you're making it, you're buying it, you're finding it in your closet, you are doing this because it brings you joy. Whether you're celebrating a fandom, or a character that you like, or that you like to sew, or you like to make stuff with glue, whatever it is, You're doing this to have fun. Now, sometimes you might want to go beyond that, and you like to compete against your fellow cosplayer. Maybe you want to prove like, hey, I'm really good at this sewing, or I like to perform on stage, and you want to take home a prize. That's totally cool too. Maybe you really like making things and you want to learn how to do something new. You can challenge yourself and make something really, really, really complicated. That kimono in the front, that one's mine. And then the red one in the back, all those flowers, I stitched those on myself. Oh, that took a long time, but it was a nice challenge and I learned a lot from it. So, types of cosplay. Number one, you can purchase a cosplay or you can commission someone else who can sew. Perhaps it's a family member. Perhaps it's a friend down the street. Perhaps it's a person that you happen to know that likes to do costuming as a business. You pay them some money, they make you a costume. Or you could purchase it. There's some online stores. They might take a while given the whole climate of everything that's going on. But either way, it still counts. It's still a cosplay. It's all good. The next one is called found item or closet cosplay. You can make an outfit, you can make a costume from stuff you find in your closet, stuff you get from the Goodwill, stuff you buy off Amazon, anything you slap together. We'll talk about that in just a bit. And then last but not least, which we'll also cover, are the handmade costumes, the ones where you're going to take some fabric or any sort of material and then you put it together and make something completely new into a costume. So now we'll have this screen, and then I'm going to show you some examples of things that you can do from it. So found item and closet cosplay. These costumes are made from pre-made items. This includes things in your closet, thrift store items, purchased items. Like I bought bright orange pants off of Amazon to make an outfit, which you'll see on the next slide. I have gone to the thrift store, which is one of my favorite places to get supplies for cosplay, specifically shoes, because shoes are expensive and I don't want to go and pay $70 for a pair of boots I might wear once. I'll pay $5 for a pair of shoes and then cover those shoes with something else. I will take old clothing and tarnish it, and I will put stuff on it and make it look all worn out. I don't want to ruin my good clothes. I'll ruin clothes I bought for $3. It's a lot easier. This is another character that I did. She's from a much older show called Haibane Renmei, which I'll show and I believe is on the next slide. So what works best? We have modern day styled outfits, because these are the easiest things that you can find online. They're inexpensive. You can find them in thrift stores. So this character, she's a little like an angel type character, and she has a turtleneck, this like sweater vest tunic thing, and then she had a skirt. So I had a turtleneck I found. I think it was like maybe $5. I had actually this black skirt from a previous costume I had made that was a closet cosplay from like several years ago. I cut it shorter and hemmed up the bottom, so now it's the right length. And then I happened to find a long sleeve sweater that was the right color. So I cut the sleeves off it, and then I used those sleeves to make a pocket. And now it looks to be the shape I needed it to be. Other things that work: simple shape, color outfits. This character happened to wear a pink top that had short, like half sleeves, and a pair of jean shorts. And then they had like lace on them. So I happened to find a pink shirt with half sleeves and a pair of jean shorts. And then I went to Joann's and I bought some lace and I sewed them on. Done. Instant costume. Put a bow on my head. Called it good. Here's a couple of older ones. I basically bought everything except the coat. I just made that. And then there's my bright orange pants I had to buy from Amazon, because where on earth are you going to find bright orange pants? So now I'm going to...
Amazon.
So I hit stop share if I want to go to my camera, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So other things that you can do. So let's say you want to make a steampunk outfit. One of the things I like to tell people, when I make costumes, I make them to last. My costumes are not like Kleenex. I'm going to use them once and throw them away. I want to take them to multiple places and I want to reuse them, which means I like to make my costumes washable. When you go to conventions, it's usually the summertime and it's awfully warm. And then you're in a building with a lot of other people, except not right now because COVID, which is why we're not having them. But when we do have them, you're around a lot of people and you get warm. So you want to have an outfit that is not only representative of what you're looking for, but you can also then toss in the wash and make smell bounce fresh. So I wanted to make a mechanic's outfit to go to a steampunk show. My mechanic gets down in all the gears and gets really messy. So I wanted a shirt that looked really messy, but also that I could put in the wash and clean. So I went to the Goodwill and I found this rusty orange shirt, but I wanted it to look like it was covered in oil. So I went outside and I kind of walked on it. I laid it down on the ground, put my shoes on, kind of danced on it for a bit, kind of ground it into the dirt, which was a little fun. Then I took some paint, some black paint, and I added some water, and then I basically just like splooshed it everywhere I could onto the shirt. And then I let it dry. I used acrylic paint because I knew that acrylic paint would stain. So now I let it dry so it would stain right onto the shirt. And now I can toss this shirt into the wash. It looks filthy. It looks absolutely filthy. But this is a very clean shirt. So, extra cool things you can do. Other cool things, you can take regular pieces of clothing, like, oh, I found this really cool, like, army-looking green jacket. I made a patch. And I just stitched it to the backside. I didn't make this vest. Someone else did. I just made the patch and put it on there. So, take something pre-made, stick stuff on it. Use heat and bond. Use paint. Paint things on there. Put patches. Cut arms off. Add things, put different arm sleeves onto other stuff. You can make all sorts of things with things that are pre-made. It's okay. You don't have to actually know how to sew. It's fantastic. All right, so I'm going to go back and reshare my screen. And now we're going to go to the next part where you're making it yourself. Making your own costumes is actually what a lot of cosplayers tend to do. And it's actually not as hard as you think. There are a lot of patterns out there. Back in the day, when I began doing cosplay, we didn't have these patterns. You had to go and use the old costume patterns and hope it was close enough. But these days, there's been an amazing costume pattern revolution. You open up that costume section in like the McCall's book, or the Simplicity book, or the Butterick book when you go to Joann's or your local sewing store. And suddenly you're awash in all of these wonderful, wonderful, very close to what you're looking for patterns. Also, as I mentioned earlier in the book that I wrote, you can also make a lot of things with rectangles and circles, which we'll also cover in a little bit. So you can check out my book for advice for those. Once again, can be found at your local library. It's my slight shameless self-promotion, but it's all good. I'm very proud of that book. All right, so I always update this page every time I do this panel because there's always new patterns. And it always makes me laugh every time I go there. So I went and checked out the McCall's website, and I added 2 new ones this time. There's literally now My Hero Academia patterns. Mm-hmm. And I almost screamed when I opened up the page, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And then I also laughed because the pattern at the bottom, the hero that's dressed in blue, that's a hero named Todoroki from My Hero Academia, who I'm working on making a cosplay of. Now I'm like, well, now there's a pattern. I'll just use that. But also, there's a secondary version of the pattern included, which they provided the picture I have here to the left that is literally Sora from Kingdom Hearts, and they actually got a wig that looks like Sora's wig from Kingdom Hearts, and I'm just like, you kidding me? We're at the point where we have Kingdom Hearts cosplay costumes in the costume category. I am living for this. This is amazing. So, yeah, we've got like branded costumes. We have Super Mario costumes. We have Disney costumes. I saw like they had licensed Harry Potter robe costumes. Where were those like 12 years ago when everyone was going to like Yule balls? There's like definitely off-brand, like they're not named specifically, but I saw like tons of Game of Thrones. There were when Greatest Showman came out, there were like very obviously, this is totally not Greatest Showman, but definitely Greatest Showman. But like you can look at it and go, I know what that's from. I know what that's from. I know what that's from. There were Sailor Moon costumes. There's totally not Link costumes, and it's amazing. I saw comic book costumes. We have like DC costumes. We have Marvel costumes. And I am living for this. So if you're looking for a costume, go to the costume section. They have patterns. You might find something that you are looking for you or your kid to make, and it is super great. And they also have a lot of really good recommendations for what fabrics to use. Because I don't think I'm going to actually have time to go over all the good types of fabrics and things. There's just so much I want to cover here. Oh, also as a side note, the one pattern that's in the center at the bottom, where it actually says cosplay on it, McCall's does have a subset of patterns called Cosplay by McCall's. They're more expensive, and they don't usually go on sale, but they are very specific patterns, and I hear they're very lovely. The one that's there, that red trench coat, if you are an older anime fan, you may recognize it as Vash the Stampede from Trigun. Mm-hmm. All right, so speaking of Princess Peach, making items with basic shapes. In the book, I know I put it around here somewhere. Oh, it's right on the floor here. You can't see me, but that's all right. I will show you in a second. You can make a lot of things with using just basic shapes, such as like a basic tunic, be made with rectangles. You can make a skirt using rectangles or a circle. Basic pants are often just like two rectangular tubes with like a big J shape cut out in the center, so it makes kind of like the crotch, and then you just flip them inside out. And then my personal favorite, the turkey hand glove. And I'm going to switch to the video, so now I can show you some of these. All right, so I wanted to show you a little bit of the book to clarify. This has been through a little bit. I had water from my iron fall onto my copy I keep at home. So it's a little crispy. So for example, there is, so that big Princess Peach. I'm like, what's her name? The princess from Super Mario, Princess Peach. That big giant skirt that you see that was in the previous slide that I just shown, that huge giant skirt was actually just made with rectangles. The top of the outfit, which I have hanging right up here, this I used the pattern that was in 2 slides ago. That was the official like Super Mario pattern. I just altered it to add the middle ruffles. That was also in the picture before. So I used that to make this, and I just added little peplums on the side. But the rest of it, I'm like, I'm just gonna use rectangles. So I went to my handy dandy book because I have my own tutorials. Why shouldn't I use them? And so there's this like simple rectangle skirt. And all you do is you make like 2 rectangles, you stitch them down the side, and then you gather them up. In this case, I put them into a waistband because I think I had like 3 rectangles worth because I wanted it to be very large. And I needed it to go into a tiny waistband. But yeah, this is basically just a rectangle. And it just gathers up into a little waistband. Nothing fancy, nothing angled, nothing circular, just a big old rectangle. And then this white layer down here, this is just a really long rectangle I put at the bottom. Nothing rounded, nothing crazy, just a rectangle. Waistband, just a rectangle. So nothing crazy there. So when it came to the top, I'm like, okay, I need to make this top layer. This is actually just a big circle that I just kind of trimmed out the front. So this actually makes like a full circle. Whoops, let me turn it on this side so you can see the cool gold stuff. And for those who are curious, this neat gold stuff, this is called heat transfer vinyl. Ooh, my thing went fuzzy. Which you can find actually at Michael's. Because it's in the scrapbooking section. Also at Joann's, it's with the Cricut and the Cameo machines and things like that. So that's really cool. Another one, I have this this dress right here. This top part, this is like a bodice piece from like a prom dress. That's what it was. I'm like, what was that dress? It's prom dress. This bottom, just a circle. I slapped it on the bottom onto the top. Just one big circle. Ruffles are just really long rectangles. And then, where's my favorite? Where did it go? Here it is. So, a lot of like superheroes wear gloves. I have one of the best tricks in the book that I wanted to share with you. It's called the Easy Stretch Glove. But it's also known as the turkey hand glove, because if you're like me, you're lazy, want to do stuff fast, and you hate making gloves. So you basically trace your hand, and then you make two pieces of the glove, stitch it together, cut it out, flip it inside out, and you instantly have a glove made out of stretch material. So put my hands into this one. This one's got 2 layers on it because I wanted it to be fancy. No extra seams. I didn't have to put any sort of like weird thumb piece in. It's just I traced my hand. Easy stretch glove. So if you ever have your kid or yourself like, oh, I want to do that character. That character has gloves. Oh no. Stretch fabric. Turkey hand glove. All right. How are we doing? Okay, I'm about half hour in. Excellent. So now I'm going to share my screen again. We're going to go to the next part. Everyone's other favorite thing, what about props? Because a lot of characters will have stuff that goes with them, and that's called props. But you don't need any fancy supplies. I don't have a fancy workshop. I don't have huge power tools. The biggest power tool I have is a heat gun. And that's just like a really powerful hair dryer. Don't use it on your hair because it's like hundreds of degrees and will burn you. But that's about the biggest tool I own. I do everything in my kitchen. So a lot of my things that I do are pretty like family friendly. There's only a couple things I have to go outside and do, which is like if I have to spray an aerosol can, I'll go outside and do it. If I'm doing anything like with foam and I have to cut it with a hot knife, I will open windows, have fans going, and things like that. So you can make a ton of stuff with simple things like what's called EVA foam, PVC pipe, hot glue, and some other basic craft supplies you may find either around your house or at places like Michael's, Joann's, or Hobby Lobby, or similar craft stores depending on where you are located. So, common list of supplies: PVC pipe, foamies, which are those thin pieces of foam if you ever go through like the kids' craft area. Pardon my cough. And then the thicker version, which is EVA foam. On a side note, if you have had the chance to make it into a Michael's that happens to be open during this time, they now have a kiosk that is full of EVA foam supplies. They're white rolls of foam. They're just solid pieces. And they have like little strips and tubes, like half tubes, triangles, and things like that. And it says cosplay supplies. And it's amazing. And you should totally check it out because that's some pretty awesome stuff. There's also a website you can go to that has the same things. I don't have it listed here, but it's TNT Cosplay. They also sell a lot of wonderful EVA foam supplies. You can have paper mache, whether that is making it the old school way with like water and flour if you don't have anything fancy. I usually do mine with strips of paper and then watered down white glue because I have white glue forever. You can use masking tape, paper clay, which is a clay that will air dry, but if you keep it wet, it'll be very malleable and pliable until you just let it dry, and then you can actually like sand it down and put stuff over top of it. Sculpey clay. Sculpey clay is that cool clay you get in the craft area that you can bake in your oven. Foam core board, the nice like flat boards that have like the little bit of thickness, and then you can actually like carve them with like an X-Acto blade, and you can make all sorts of cool shapes and make sturdy underparts, or like if you cut a bunch of lines, you can make cool curved items. And my personal favorite friend, hot glue. So, one of the things I'll do whenever I am making a prop, if I can, and if you don't have these abilities, see if you have a friend who can help you, because I do this for my cosplay partner a lot too. If you have a picture of your prop, see if they can put it into a photo editing program and enlarge it to full size, to how big they want it to be, and then print it out, tape all the pieces together so they have something to work with. This is a wand from a show called Cardcaptor Sakura, and I was making this for a performance, so I wanted it to be real size to my hand. So this thing was going to be quite large. It is over 3 feet long. It's like 3¼ feet. And I wanted to see how big it would be so I could start making all my designs. So I printed it out, taped it together. And so I was going to show what I ended up making. I got to back up so you can see it. I ended up making this. And this is made with, this is a PVC pipe that I cut down. I think it's the 3/4 of an inch. That fits in my hand, so it's a nice hold for how small my hand is. You may want a smaller one if you've got tinier hands. The bottom piece, this is just made with Sculpey clay. I use Super Sculpey because it's nice and hard. I highly recommend Super Sculpey clay the most because you're going to paint over it anyway, and it's nice and hard, can be sanded and drilled. Attach that to the bottom of the pole. Then for this, I put a foam core in the center, built it up with some paper mache, and then covered it in paper clay. Then I painted it. And then we'll get to talking about these wings in just a little bit. These are resin gems. That's a more advanced thing. Don't worry about those. You can always just make a fake gem and paint it with regular paint. Now I'm going to share my screen. And we'll go back. So here's another prop, if any of you out there happen to watch a Ruby. This is Nora Valkyrie's weapon. And it is a huge hammer. And I actually made this costume a few years ago now, and I was like, I adore her, she's super great. And I really wanted to make the hammer. So with a little help from my husband, because it was a bit big and unwieldy for me, because I needed help holding it up, together we concocted how to make this. And this is made with EVA foam, foam core board, and PVC pipe. So you may notice like, oh, that's some really thick foam. Where did you get that? Well, that happens to be floor mats, which I'll show you in just a moment. And we would take like large pieces of like thick art paper, and I would just like make designs, and then we would cut it out of the foam. And then once we got the base design, I took thin foam, and I made all the little itty bitty, what's called filigree designs that you're seeing that make all the cool, like little designs there. Then I coated it and I painted it to look all pretty. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing this, and we're going to talk about foam things and what you can do with it. So first off, here is the monstrosity that is my hammer. This is what it looked like when it's finished. We made it proportionally sized to me, if I was Nora, which means this is about the size of my torso, right here. I was going off an action figure that I had, and it's really big. The other fun thing, so this is the PVC pipe. This is all constructed out of the foam. One of the cool things is if you're using PVC pipe also has connectors. Because I'm going to need to move this in my car, and this connected to this is not going to fit. So I fit in a little pipe screw part So this can come undone. I can stuff this wherever I want to in the car, and then this can fit along the side so it doesn't block anything. So I mentioned that really thick EVA foam. Where do I get it? The hardware store. It's actually floor mats. It's these little puzzle piece floor mats that you get from the store. They come in packs of 4. And they look like this. You've got one like flat side and one that's a textured side. I like to get the really thin like texture version. Like, there's one that's got like big like crisscrosses. I like to get the little one. Also, fun fact, if you take off the edge, instant crown. So hey, looking to make a crown for Halloween, you can do that. But these can make all sorts of cool stuff. If you've looked in the book, you can make armor out of it. This is one just made from simple geometric designs. And what's nice about EVA foam is EVA foam and hot glue are like best buds. I like to use high temp hot glue. And then I will actually just put little clips on the inside, glue them down. So then, can I fit it with my headphones? No, I can't fit my headphones through there. But we'll pretend that I could. And then this would fit over top of my body. It makes my head just a little bit too big. You can also use it to make smaller pieces of armor, such as this. This is just a little wristband that goes with the bigger armor, and it fits over top of my arm. You can also put like padding in here so it'll like stick to things. But what else can you make with it? You can make cool stuff like helmets. I made this out of EVA foam. I did not draft this myself, and this is where I want to come up with a couple of other cool tidbits for anyone who is following. There's some very cool creators out there who are also making their own EVA patterns. 2 of the big ones I know of, one is called Evil Ted. The other one is Kamui Cosplay, Kamui Cosplay, and both of them make wonderful patterns and informational packets about making cosplay. This is actually an Evil Ted helmet. It was just like a basic helmet, and then these little tubes, these are like the EVA foam dowels like you can get at Michael's. And then I just painted it fancy. And it's really just the fancy painting. And then comes to finishing your foam. Let's go back to the screen really quick. There's a couple of ways you can do it. What I do for a lot of mine is I like to use Elmer's white glue. And that's all it is. I go to like the hardware store. Don't go to a specialty store. Go to the hardware store. It's much cheaper there. Buy it by the gallon. It's like $7. It's really cheap at the hardware store in comparison to like if you went to like Michael's. And then what we'll do is we will do up to 3 coats, just using a big brush. Make sure to wash your brush when you're done so it doesn't harden. And then we'll sand it down so any sort of drippies we can like flatten. And then do this up to like 5 coats. And then what that does is it creates a nice hard shell, which I'm going to try and put this near my microphone. You hear that tapping. That makes a nice solid layer for you to paint on. It also makes it nice and sturdy, so like if this hammer kind of fell on the ground, I'm not worried. But also the EVA foam is really thick, and it's nice and sturdy, so I won't have to worry about it, chipping or cracking. But what do I do in cases of like the Sakura one that has those really flimsy wings? Well, there are other solutions. There's another way you can do it. So let's say you wanted your foam to be a little bit more pliable. You wanted it to be a little bit more impact resistant. You can use something that's called Plastidip, and this is one of those things that you're going to want to go and do outside. It does come in a pot, but usually comes in a spray can. Spray can is what I like to use the best. I'm usually doing it on smaller items. It does require multiple coats. It says it on the can. Follow all instructions as it indicates. And what it does is it creates a nice rubbery surface that is washable. Like I can wipe it down if it gets dirty, and it becomes really protected from the elements. So in case I accidentally bump anyone with the wings on my wand, I don't have to worry about the wings suddenly like cracking and popping off. Especially because this wand I was using on a performance stage. So like I wanted to bring this up here and show again. I have these are really bendy. They're also much thinner. So like this part here is really thin. I wanted to make sure that these would withstand convention life and also being in my car because stuff jostles around. Other things that you can do, there are other sorts of props you can do. My prop, I always go to PVC pipe, like, is it a stick? Do I need to make something with a stick? Let's go to PVC pipe. Other things you can do, I had this really cool tutorial I found online about how to make fairy wings. These are made from poster board, wire, and cellophane. Like, the cellophane you use to wrap packages in. And all I did was use my heat gun, and it sealed it. Oh, there was something else to it. There was like a heat and bond sticky side. I had to buy that. That was part of it. So you can't just do it all just the way with cellophane. There was a heat and bond sticky side, so it stuck to itself. And then I used cellophane. But if you look up fairy wing tutorial, you'll probably find it. Yeah, so I like cellophane. Who knew? Poster board. Who knew? If you've been to, I did another event at your library actually last year around Halloween where we made magic wands with Christmas bulbs put on top, and you just put a bunch of like all sorts of glam on it. Totally make it out of that. I love wrapping things with like bias tape instead of like fancy fabric. Super great for texture. All right, so now we've got our props. There's one last thing I want to talk about as we have a little bit of time left. Let me just switch here, do my screen. Oh, and painting, I apologize. You'll want to primer coat. You can spray acrylic paint if you want. Do all of this outdoors. Do be careful in Michigan. Once it turns, like post-fall, it becomes really cold outside, and then it gets really difficult. So do all your cosplay painting in the summer and spring and fall. So texturize and weather as needed. A lot of the metallic looks that I got is I used a metallic paint, and then I got a sea sponge. And I just used the metallic paint with the sea sponge, and it got the mottled look. So, sea sponge. That's my secret. All right, so final touches. One of the things that I like to mention is you don't have to be perfect. Please, you do not have to be perfect. Close enough is fine. In fact, somewhere within the nearest 30 miles of the character is fine. If you've ever heard of Disney bounding, it's called vaguely wear the colors of your character in like an outfit. Not even a costume, just an outfit. So sometimes you may need to change your hair color. I like to do it with wigs because it's the cheaper, lazier way of doing it instead of recoloring your hair for every convention every single day. My personal favorite website is Arta Wigs, which is arta-wigs.com, and I'm going to show you their website in just a little bit. We have the 5 Wits wigs, which they make more specialty character wigs, so if you're looking for a unique style, they may have it. I actually have one on hand right here that I'll show you in a moment. And then epiccosplay.com, unrelated to my book, but they are Epic Cosplay wigs. They also make really nice wigs. I have one of their wigs here too. And then don't forget, there's also makeup and then accessories like shoes, socks, basic other pieces. You don't have to make your own socks. You don't have to make dress shirts. You can buy those at the Goodwill. You can buy them at the thrift stores. Shoes. Do you need to make an interesting shoe? Slight promotion, but it is in my book. Make a shoe cover. Make a boot cover. Do you need to make a really crazy looking boot? Don't go and buy an expensive boot. Go buy a really cheap used pair of shoes, slip an insole in there so it's comfy, build a boot around it, and glue it on top. much cheaper than trying to buy some like $300 pair of boots. Much easier. And then it looks exactly how you need it to. So now I'm going to go back into talking about wigs. So I'm going to share some pictures really quick, and then I'm going to show you the websites, and I think we'll be done after that. So there are so many fancy wigs these days. You might think of, oh, those are those things you get at like Party City, right? Well, cosplay wigs are a step above and beyond. So the ones you get at like Party City, you kind of get them and you kind of see through them. Actual cosplay wigs have lots and lots and lots of what are called wefts, which means they have lots and lots of hair. And they're also really, really nice to, like, if you have a wig brush, you can brush them out. These days, pretty much if you're getting it from one of the cosplay wig stores, they can be heat styled. So you can do cool stuff like this. So my first example is, I have Princess Peach here. She's got these lovely fluffy bangs I styled like 1,000 years ago, and they're still there. Styled it with heat and a little bit of got to be glued hairspray. You can add armatures into them, style it with a little bit of glue, and you can have crazy loopies like Nurse Joy has. You can sew hats to your wigs so they don't come off. You can buy specialty wigs, like this guy right here. Speaking of My Hero Academia, it's my Todoroki wig. It comes half and half, so I don't have to build it that way. How great is that? Super great. We used to have to build all these things. So last but not least, we're going to go back to my screen. See if I can do that. Aha! Okay, so I have this window. See if I can share it. All right, so my first place I like to go is called Art of Wigs. And people always ask, oh, they must be like super duper expensive to get these like really, really nice wigs. So they have tons of, I love their sale picture. It's got a corgi. They have all sorts of, you can search by color, you can search by size, you can look by styles, but they have so many colors these days. So one of my personal favorites is the Ferrari. It gets used in a whole bunch of things, so I'm going to click on that. These are the colors it comes in. See if it changes the picture. It might not. They're kind of redoing their thing in the set. But all of these colors, this is the colors that this wig comes in alone. Just this one wig. So if you're looking for a strange color wig, they probably have it. Another one I have, this is the Epic Cosplay wigs. So they have, you can look by style, color, hair pieces. They sometimes have some official character wigs, and they'll have guides. Also, that's the other fun thing. Arta will have wig suggestions like, ooh, here's something popular that came out. Here are wigs we suggest you might want to use in style. They also have information, info. Is it here? Somewhere around here they have a tutorial page. I don't know where it is at the moment because they're redoing their website. And then here, this is the 5 Wits wigs. This is my other favorite one. I love their names because they're always like off-brand hero names, and I love it. But they have a lot more like specialty design wigs depending on like what character you're looking for. So they have some pretty cool ones. And all of these like short ones, they'll run you like $35. And these are heat stylable. Like you can take curling irons and flat irons and hair dryers and all sorts of things to these. And this is when the Ferrari goes down to like past your shoulders. So according, if you think about for a fake hairpiece, this is actually very affordable. So if you're looking for wigs, these are the places I would definitely recommend. So then, let's see. I want to go back to my other one because I have my last but not least. That's not the one I want to go to. I guess it's this one. Share. And it took me back to the beginning. Because my last but not least is I like to tell people, remember to have fun. As long as you are having fun and enjoying what you are doing, then you are doing it right. Whether that is dressing up, buying your costume, making it out of stuff from your closet, building it from scratch, doing competitions, getting photos done, hanging out in the hallway, having fun with your friends, going to panels, taking goofy pictures, just generally being safe, anything like that. Are you enjoying what you're doing? Then you're doing it right. So with that, stop sharing. Now I just want to tell everyone to get out there, and if you are interested in cosplay, I encourage you to begin your cosplay journey. If you are still doing cosplay and in your beginning stages and even all the way up to advanced, keep doing it. If you're having fun, get out and do the thing. Although, not right now, be safe, wear a mask. We currently don't have conventions going on because of the whole pandemic, but when they come back, I look forward to seeing you possibly at a convention near you.
All right. If you don't mind making me host again, Christy.
Oh, yes, I gotta do that.
Yeah.
Let me do that.
Okay.
How do I do that? Participants.
And then just
More.
click more.
Make host.
Thank you.
Aha! I have done the thing.
Yes.
Ah, yes.
I know. Technology is wonderful.
I've figured it out.
All right. So we just wanted to say thank you so much. And we have a Wandu reader code for anybody, who has seen this video or participated live. So if you are participating in our summer reading program, all you have to do is you just go on to Wandu Reader, type in your login information, and then go under the, oh, it's not activities. Oh, my brain shut down. Sorry. It's been a very long day. So
that's all right.
You just go under one of the tabs up the top, and it'll actually show you where there is a Wandu Reader code that you would put in for this epic cosplay or getting started in cosplay panel. So if you have any questions or anything, feel free, and you can contact me at Fraser Public Library, or I'm sure Christy wouldn't mind having people contact her as well for questions.
Yes.
But thank you so much, and we hope you have a great afternoon and evening. Bye, everybody.
Yes. Bye. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.